What's up guys, Doomsday here. Today, we're back again. In this video, we're going to be playing some Xin Zhao in the jungle. So if you saw my last video, the tier list video where I ranked all the junglers, Xin Zhao was the only jungler that actually made onto the S+ tier for both high elo and the low elo list. And as I said, I honestly think Xin Zhao is probably the best well-rounded jungler at the moment, and that's for multiple reasons. One, he has a super strong early game, which is crucial in this meta because a lot of it is focused around the early game and it's very snowball-y. Plus, he has good ganking and jungle clear. Plus, he's tanky, so even if it does go to late game, you still provide good tank for your team, unlike other champs like assassins that won't provide you that tank. But the first thing that I noticed is that their Baron laner, their top laner, is missing right now. So if they're usually missing at the very start, that probably means they're giving a leash to the enemy jungle. So I know that Jax is starting at the red buff. And now I'm looking at my lane matchups, and I'm trying to decide which lane do I want to try and play towards. And looking at this bot side duo that I have with the Seraphine Misfortune, that's a very strong early game duo. And compared to a Jhin and a Senna, which will take a bit more time to scale, I think we have the advantage in the early game. So the jungle clear that most junglers do is they go red to blue buff and then into the Scuttle on that side. So I'm pretty sure Jax is going to end up at this side Scuttle. And I changed my pathing to run into him at the Scuttle because I think if we fight here, we win this just because of how much stronger our Dragon Lane duo is with the Seraphine Misfortune. But if we had a weaker duo, I for sure would have just played towards the top side and done the full clear. But over here now, I'm looking for a gank over here. They're getting super low. And let's see if I can get this Jhin over here. Let's see if I can get the burst down. We're able to get him. The Senna tries to flash away. I'm able to chase that down. We're able to pick up those kills over here. And now I'm looking for the Scuttle. And I'm spam pinging the Scuttle because I know Jax is around here. So I want to try and make sure that I got cover in case he does come. But notice something over here. The Scuttle runs away from where you are. So notice how I'm leading it to one direction pretty much. You can control the direction that the Scuttle goes because if you didn't notice, the Scuttle runs literally away from you. So whatever direction you approach it from, it's going to go in the opposite direction. So what you could use that for is to guide it away from places where you think the enemy might be. So over here, notice how I make it so it pads towards the Pantheon. That way, if anybody comes, they won't be able to get to it as easily. And the Pantheon can just stun them up. So I'm able to get the double Scuttle there. And Jax is probably just clearing the rest of his blue side now because he wasn't able to get any of the Scuttles. I'm looking for this mid lane. They're pretty low. I don't know if they have flash or not. That's the thing. I probably won't be able to kill him here. I was looking to mainly force out a flash if I could. Sadly, they get the good stun off, and I was not able to get onto him. But watch over here. Watch what I do here, and this is really crucial. It's something really small, but it's pretty big. I don't mess up the wave management. Notice how I didn't full-on push that. And let me explain why. Well, I'll explain that in a minute. First of all, I want to see if y'all can guess why I'm going back to this Dragon Lane. My entire blue side is up, but I choose to go on this side of the map, and that's for one reason. And it's because they already burn summoner spells. One of the big things to consider when you're ganking is summoner spells. Flash, heal, barrier. And if you think about it, the first time when I ganked him, they burned literally everything. And there's no way to have all that stuff back off cooldown. So I know this is a free gank pretty much because they're overextended, and without those summoner spells, they don't have the escape that they would if they normally did have them up. So that's why I chose to pad towards this bot side instead of going up to my blue side and clearing that. But as I was saying, that wave management in the mid lane, notice how I did not full on push that wave. And that's really key there because that allowed for Twisted Fate to set up for a freeze next to their turret, which is huge against a Aurelia. Because if the Twisted Fate is pushed up all the way into the enemy turret, that leaves them really vulnerable to an Aurelia combo, which can screw them up if they're pretty far out. But if they could set up a freeze next to their turret, then they really can't really dive them as easily. And that's why knowing wave management as a jungler is so important, and knowing what your laners want to do is also so important. But now I cleared my red side. I'm getting the reset in. Now I'm looking at these lanes. Oh, and Black Cleaver first item is a very cheap first item. If you didn't know, if you get one kill, or if you get a kill or even an assist and you just farm really well, you can actually afford that entire first item before the first drag fight, which is huge. So over here now, I'm pinging Jax is probably on his blue buff right now around that area. And this is something to really pay attention to if you're a dragon laner. A lot of times when that dragon does spawn, junglers do hang around the area of the dragon, so that's just something to be aware of. Of course, it's not all the time that they're going to be on the side of the dragon, but there's a good chance there will be, so just be aware of that if you are a dragon laner. But over here now, I really want to hang around the dragon side because this is Inferno drag. I don't want to give it up for free. I'm keeping an eye on this Aurelia. I want to see if they go for an engage here. And they go for the ult, so I'm able to get the commit here. Pull off that kill. I didn't even have to burn flash. So now I'm pinging. We should set up for this dragon. We can set up good vision control in the area. And we're also able to pick up a good kill on bot side. So now I'm pinging. Let's go for this dragon. We killed both their mid and their ADC. So we're on this drag. And, I want to talk about securing on Xin Zhao. First of all, this Jax looks for the steal, but there isn't really anything he could do over here. We get a really good turn onto him. He didn't have any warding around. We cleared the warding earlier. That's why I didn't use my sweeper here, because I knew we already cleared everything. But, securing on Xin Zhao, a fun fact, and somebody actually commented this on my last Xin Zhao video, and this is why I think if you see something that you think is important that I didn't talk about or something, definitely comment it down below, because the guy who commented it, he was literally platinum, which of course isn't that high, but it was still a really good tip, and it was securing with Xin Zhao. Your ultimate does about 400 damage to objectives, to dragons, and to Baron. So if you ultimate and smite at the same time, you can out-secure so many junglers really easily if you really, really want to secure that dragon or Baron buff. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are looking for the secure and you really are in that smite battle. But now I'm getting the reset on. I'm looking towards this top side of the map. This Herald is up now, and that's going to be the main focus now. So that's what we're looking for. I'm taking this blue buff. Going to be looking to clear out some warding. And for sweeper, I want to talk about using the sweeper. If you're going to use the sweeper, a lot of people use it ineffectively. When you use that sweeper, it's of course a pretty long cooldown, but you want to use it to clear multiple high spots or high places that are warded often. You want to look at multiple spots with it. So I think I use it over here. And first of all, I clear the one in this pit, and then I go looking in other areas where there's commonly warding. Inside this bush that I'm walking through right now, and then inside this mid lane. So I cleared 3 spaces where there's usually warding, and that's huge instead of just only clearing one's place. So now over here, they're looking for the engage. I wait for Jax to use their dodge thing. I can't really engage while Jax has that. So now I'm able to knock away the Aurelia, chase down the Jax. Let's see if I can pick up this Aurelia. Sadly, the Twisted Fate goes down, but we pick up the kills, and that's good. So now we're pushing down this mid wave. And let's see if we can get some mid-turret here. Sadly, the Nasus shows up, so gotta dip out. The Nasus ults. Pick up the honey fruit. And now I'm looking to see if we can win this. Maybe turn on to this. Let's see if we can get this Nasus. But this Nasus is so tanky and does so much damage. Nasus with ult is so strong. But I want to talk about something, actually. Why I didn't just force the Herald right away. And it's because of ults. So thinking about our Baron laner and our mid laner, I'm always checking their ult cooldowns and stuff, but think about a Pantheon ult plus a Twisted Fate ult. What are their strengths? It's roaming the map, it's making cross-map plays with them. They really are not impactful once a big team fight starts. They won't be doing too much. Instead, other ults that the enemy has, such as Nasus ult, Aurelia ult, Jax ult, those are actually going to be impactful in team fights. So forcing these fights when they have their ults up is completely going to screw us over, because our ults are not really meant for big team fighting, or at least the Pantheon and the Twisted Fates aren't. Mine is, but those two aren't. So if we would have gone for that fight, for example, when Nasus still had ult, we for sure would have lost that, just because Nasus is so strong. So I'm trying to get this mid turret, and we're able to get first turret here. I'm able to pick it up. So that's good. We get the Twisted Fatal, and I'm keeping an eye on where everybody is right now. I see the Senna is rotating. The Jax is starting to farm up his blue side, and I want to see if I can catch out the Senna here. I know they're on their way to lane. I want to force out a flash or something if I possibly can. Sadly, was not able to get in range. Did not want to hard commit to that because I know Jax is still around, but I want to talk about engages on Xin Zhao. And this is a big mistake that a lot of people make, and it's using your second ability first before you engage. And as you can see over there, actually using your second ability first can be good in certain cases where you need, for example, vision of him to third ability onto him. But I want to talk about the biggest mistake that a lot of people do, and it's using their second ability before their third ability. And let me explain why. So your second ability has two parts to it, of course. It has the sweep across frame move and then like the lunge part. And when you use that at distance, the entire first part just misses because it's just short range, the sweeping part. But then you might hit him with the lunge part. Whereas if you third ability onto him first, as you can see over here, now I land both parts of my ult. And over here, I got a flash out. Don't want to get comboed up by the... Don't want to get CC comboed. Keep an eye on this Nasus, and this Nasus is honestly just too strong with ult. We just have to wait for this ult cooldown to run out. That's really what I'm waiting for. The Jax jumps back in. I'm able to dodge the stun. Let's see. Now without this ult, we're able to take down the Nasus. So now I'm trying to turn back onto this drag. I think we should just go back onto this. The Twisted Fate, he's farming up bot side for some reason. I don't know why. It should be helping me clear this drag, but they're literally running right past the Twisted Fate, and now we're kind of in a bit of a sticky spot. Able to dodge some of the Jhin stuff, but we're just in a bad spot there. We weren't able to clear the dragon fast enough. I think if Twisted Fate would have came earlier, we would have been able to. But as I was saying, talking about engaging, if you third ability onto him first and then second ability, you're going to land both parts of your second ability, which is going to deal so much more damage. And it's going to allow you to just burst him down so much faster. So as you can see, if you watch like a lot of the good Xin Zhao players, if you see anybody on Twitch or something like that, you'll notice that they're going to be doing this where they're going to be looking to engage with their third ability if possible and then using their second ability. But I'm going to talk about build in runes because a lot of people have always been asking about that. And for runes, I want to talk about the runes. So first of all, go Conqueror. Conqueror is by far the best rune on Xin Zhao. Conquer, Brutal, and then the third rune is where it can vary a bit. The two best runes are Conditioning and Hunter Titan. Hunter Titan is used if they have a lot of CC. For example, in this match, enemy has a lot of stuns, slows. So that's good in this case. Or Conditioning if they don't have a lot of CC. Because, of course, what Conditioning does is after 5 minutes, you start to gain a bunch of armor and magic resist. And, of course, the weakness of it is that early game, you don't get anything from it. But as a jungler, it's not like you're fighting 24/7. You're looking for ganks. You're looking for good fights that you want. So normally, it's not a huge deal to have to wait till 5 minutes to get the huge benefit. So now I'm looking for the secure here. We killed their jungler, so I know I can get the smite here. Able to pick up that Baron. And a good tip is, if you're trying to stop somebody, you're trying to get a steal for something like that, you have to engage before that Baron gets super low. So for example, they started that engage, and that's a bit bad engage first of all on their part. They should have just given that up. But they started that engage when it was at like 2,000 health or something like that. But at that point, I have the smite, and of course, I'm almost always going to secure that. There's very few cases where a jungler will actually screw that up when the enemy jungler is dead. So if your jungler is dead and you're trying to contest something, you need to contest it at like when it's at higher health and then try and kill the enemy jungler first. That way you can actually go for the steal. Because if you engage at 2,000 health, you won't have enough time to kill the enemy jungler or get him off the drag or the Baron, and then they're just going to get the smite. So that's a mistake I see a lot of people do when trying to stop people from taking objectives. They honestly just wait too long until it gets too low, and then they just lose the objective anyways. But now I'm looking to push this lane, maximizing the Baron buff, and that's something you could do. Xin Zhao he can make for a solid split pusher just because you have a good 1v1 and you could push down turrets. And Mastermind is my last rune, by the way. So over here, I see this Aurelia, and I don't hard commit at first, and it's because of that stun. I did not want to get stunned underneath that turret. So that's why I just went for the small poke, and then I waited for the stun to come out, and then I looked for the re-engage there. So I'm able to push down this turret here. And then for build Black Cleaver into Blade of the Rune King with Sterix Gauge next, and then Guardian Angel, and then whatever tank you need. And then for the enchantment, you can go a lot of things, actually. You can go Gargoyle, you can go Proto-Built, you can go Stasis. All of those are good choices. It depends a lot on the match. If they have a lot of stuff like Fizz ult, Zed ult, Stasis is good. If you're snowballing pretty well and you're looking to play super aggressive, Proto-Built is a good choice. Or if you're in a lot of late game team fights and you think the Stasis will provide, or if you think Gargoyle will provide good value, you can go for that. So now I'm looking to farm up a bit. I'm telling him to just be careful. Honestly, just ping and retreat. At least it makes them more aware, in my opinion. I'd rather just ping retreat than I just ping it just so they can be careful a bit. So I'm keeping an eye on this Nasus. I come over here because I don't want this Nasus to screw him over. Nasus uses ult at least, so now he doesn't have that up. And the next Drake is spawning. So what am I doing? I'm clearing out warding on the way to this Drake when I'm heading back towards it. I'm pinging my team. We should start to group with this Drake. And I'm clearing anything out. So I don't start this up yet just because my entire team had reset and they clearly aren't in position to do anything. But I know there's no warding around here. So what do I know they're going to do? There's a good chance they're going to face check here and walk into here just because I know they don't have any vision of it and they're going to want vision. So that's why I'm sitting in this bush and I'm looking to try and engage onto people. Oh, and I mentioned earlier, I needed to wait for Jax to use that dodge before I go for the engage. And the reason for that is the Jack's dodge will actually block off the damage from your first ability. So when he has that dodge up, you're almost actually useless against him. So that's just something to keep in mind now. This Nasus, he's going to be able to get away. I see this Twisted Fate is going in pretty deep. Trying to get over to him, see if I can help him out a bit. But looks like they're able to handle themselves pretty well. So now we're pushing down this mid turret, and let's see if we can get this inhib turret here. Nasus gets ult again, and actually just ulted to push him away from my team. I didn't realize the Pantheon was going to stasis, but that's something you could do on Xin Zhao, and I think we're going to see that one more time later on, is if you haven't marked somebody, so you mark people by either auto-attacking them or hitting them with your second ability, then they don't get knocked away with your ult. But if they aren't marked, then they will get knocked back. So you can actually use that for a couple things. One, you can actually use that to knock enemies towards your team if you want, or you could use it to knock enemies away from your team. And in that case, I use it to knock the Naxos away to burn some seconds off his ult, because that Naxos ult has been brutal this match. But I think over here, we're going to see, next time I get my ult off cooldown, I'm going to use that to knock somebody towards my team. And we'll see how we could do that. And also, a really cool combo you could do is you can actually ult and then flash, and it's faster than flashing and then ult. If you don't know, we'll see it in a second here. Or you can go into a practice match and try it out, but it's just faster, and being fast is everything in this game, really. Let's see, when do we see it? Over here, we just completely delete that Jax. We're so far ahead of him at this point. But I'm looking for the engage here, because if you didn't know, there's a small animation time on your ult, so while that animation's going on, you could actually use your flash. So over here, I'm looking for the engage. I want to see if we can get something good. I probably should go back and get my Guardian Angel, but that's no fun. So as you can see, I ult, flash, and I'm able to knock the Aurelia back towards my team. Sadly, he had the flash up, so he was able to get away, but we're still able to pick up the Senna. That's just a cool little engage you could do, and a cool trick you could use. So now we're pushing down this last turret, and we're able to pick up the kills. So we're going to be able to end with that. I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and that's going to be about it for this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video.